more than 40 years. And we are in the field of innovation education and try to build a different kind of education system. Most of them is disruptive innovation. We don't try to make education system better, the exist education system better. We try to build alternative to the system that exists.
Okay, my name is Omer. I'm an English teacher in my profession. I've been working in informal education for quite a few years. I guess something around 12 years now. And yeah, when we think about 6 C's, before you even discuss how many C's it is, it's just this very basic feeling of approaching the individual. I think believe that it all starts from that, and after that you develop it to what does it exactly mean. But the whole idea is that it's not only about teaching facts, but approaching and talking to human beings and to individuals, and from there you start working. So that's the main idea, the way we perceive it. That's it for now, I guess.
Okay, Yaakov, just a quick question. I was reading a little bit and I realized that you had written the book Democratic Education, right?
Yeah.
I've never personally read the book. I was just trying to do some research yesterday. And I know you take your readers on a journey, and the journey is very much about personal discovery, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, as an insight, perhaps tell us, what made you write that book?
I was suffered at school. It was very difficult for me to be at school. It was especially because it was difficult to me to learn to read and write. And I left school very early before I was 16. And then I decided to build another system, another kind of school. From my point of view, when I look about the traditional school, the children need to sit on chair for 6-7 hours a day. It was to me a miserable experience, and more than experience, to think that millions of children sitting on these chairs and listen what the teacher need to tell them. It was disaster. And I think how to build a school that will be very similar to the school outside school. And outside school, we call it democracy. And in democracy, the main question is what I'm doing with my life. No one tells me what to do with my life. And I decided to build a new kind of school that is from 4-year-old until 18, that focusing about the question what I want to do with my life. So in our democratic school, children decide what they want to learn and how they want to learn, whose room they want to learn, and when they want to learn. And as a committee, because we are in the first school, we were around 600 students. We need to also build the rules of community that we are living together. So we built a parliament meeting that was every week. Wow. And parliament meeting, it's people, children from the student and the staff member and their parents, and we make all the rules of the school together. So I give all the, and that was 30 years ago. Today we have more than 2,000 democratic schools all over the world, in more than 60 countries. And it's a big movement of another kind of schooling that we are running all over the globe.
I think just to add one more notion to the idea that nobody tells us what to do, is that every is a learning experience. Learning is not bound only to school and necessarily not only to classes and black or whiteboards. Everything is a learning experience. So instead of limiting, the idea is to open and to when kids or adults the freedom of choice and to learn experience and interest.
And today, we are organization that called Education City, and the idea of Education Cities, it's we understand we want that every child will learn differently. The limited of schooling is very limited. The resources of school, the building, the teachers, it's very, very limited. So we say all the city will become a big school. So children can use all the resources that exist inside the city. They can take mentors in different subjects that exist in the city. We can make collaboration between the schools in the city. We can make collaboration between factories, culture institutes, and all together that every child can do his learning plan that he was chosen. So today we have more than 20 cities that work with us. And the idea is, we call it the art of collaboration. And the art of collaboration inside the classroom, inside the school, all the cities, and all the world together. I can do it.
Brilliant.
We'll give you examples.
Thank you. So we look forward to hearing more about Education Cities in a while. Neelam, are you here?
I'm Neelam. Are you looking out for Neelam?
Yes, Neelam. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Neelam Shrivastava, and I'm in Vasant Valley School. I've been working as a teacher since the last more than 3 decades. I've been a teacher, and I've been taking care of the physical, like we just introduced you, we were just talking about the 5 areas of development that in the year 2016, the seed of the 5 areas of development was sown, and the idea came from our director, Mr. Arun Kapoor. And the 2016 went off in brainstorming and, in fact, watering the plant. And in fact, now by 2017, we have implemented the 5 areas of development in a school. And I've been heading the physical development department area. So the 5 areas of development is talking about the 5 crucial areas that is important for the child for a holistic development. So it's spiritual, emotional, cerebral, and social. Physical. Did I say all the 5?
Yeah, physical, spiritual, emotional, cerebral, and social.
And social, right. So earlier the focus was more on the content. Our entire learning was content-based. And with these 5 areas coming in, now the focus is more on skills and the process that is being used.
Okay.
The most amazing part of this entire program is that the children are the ones who take ownership for the learning and also ownership for the results. So they are the ones, each child sets a roadmap for himself or herself, which is where they set their own goals. Then what is the skills they need? Because the focus here being skills. So they set their goals in these 5 areas of development, the skills, the process that they're going to use. What is the indicator of success? And in this entire journey, what will be the watermark that is going to stand out? So this is not only for students, we also have it for the teachers and therefore for the whole school. So that the thing is that it's not only the children, but the teachers also need to set their goals, and we work in collaboration together to set it. So if you look at the spiritual development, which seems to be a little more difficult to maybe introduce or to teach. So the focus here is on the introduction of breathing exercises and yoga. So it's very, in the morning, if you come early in the morning, you can see our children into having these sessions for about 30-40 minutes in the class. Or even now it's become a part of the school culture, in the sense that when a teacher proceeds with a class and there's a lot of, maybe the children are a little restless, so we start with the calming exercises where they all close their eyes and sit down. And you see that, and we can see that it really helps them to calm down. There's more peace in the class and they concentrate much a bit. So we'll have Sharmila who will tell us about the social area of
okay, so ladies, yeah, brilliant. So you'll have a slot a little bit later. So I just thought we'll do a bit of introductions first. Yeah, but thank you so much. No, don't worry. Frederica, I was wondering whether you might want to just introduce why we're talking about the 6 C's today.
Hi everyone, so I'm Frederica and I'm on the research team at HundrED. Sorry, I had to re-log in as Pukraj so I could record, so that's not my name. So we recently brought out our research report, Every Child to Flourish, with which we did a global youth survey where we had over nearly 400 participants from the global perspective, and we asked them questions about their education today and what they would like to see change. And it quickly became apparent that they really were missing a lot of the elements of the 6 C's, and that they felt they were very valuable to their education, but it was something missing from their current education, as well as their relationships with their educators. As well as our wider research, these were things that we also found in literature, which was very common across, especially the global north. There was less literature on the global south due to language barriers, but I can very well imagine that it's a similar situation. So we were just interested to find out from our innovators, and just to build on that research so that we can continue with this next year and see how we can start finding solutions to these issues.
Brilliant, thank you. Just wondering whether Pradeep is here. Is Pradeep here from the museum school? Possibly not. Shall we just start with education cities then first? Would you like to just share your slide deck with us and then perhaps run us through your innovation?
Yes, that could work. It says that we cannot start the screen share while the other participants is sharing.
Okay. Done.
Okay, let's try again. Share.
Yeah.
See our screen now. Can you see our screen?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So, as I say at the beginning, our first step was to build a new kind of school that we call it democratic school. And if I will explain in a short time what is democratic school, think that this, what you see now, is this shape represent all the knowledge that exists in the world. And we know that this knowledge doubles himself today every half a year. And when we see all these people in the knowledge, it's us that I think the most beautiful things that exist in the world, that we are different. And every one of us is unique and have different talent and have different motivation. And I think this is, if I say it in one sentence, different is beautiful. We really believe that different is beautiful. But something happened in the middle of the industrial age, because we know that in this time they build a lot of factories, and they decide to build another factory that they call it a school. And this square, this box represent the idea of the industrial age school, and they say, let's put in this box all the very important things. So they put inside the box a little bit mathematics, but most of the mathematics exist outside the box. and they put it a little bit history, but most of the history outside of the box. And they say, now let's get everyone inside the box. So they begin to push everyone inside the box, and that's the way that we see today a traditional classroom. It's very crowded, it's very difficult to see the uniqueness, and this box, the idea is to make from us one, and they like it exists the best kind of human being, that if you put them in a classroom with the same materials, with the same time, in the same age, it will make us very, very similar. So, but if you look inside the box, you see that this is not a box, it's a pyramid. And this pyramid, they say that in the top of the pyramid is the excellence, and in the bottom of the pyramid is the weaker. And from where this box come, we need to go to the wave of Alvin Toffler that talking about that in the past, most of the people work in the agriculture and then industrial, today in the information age, and today and tomorrow it's in the knowledge age. And in the industrial age, people live in a pyramid. When people, what is mean? It means that the school needs to prepare them to do what their boss tell them to do. But today in the knowledge age, we are living in a network. So the knowledge age, when I need to say that knowledge age is the idea that most of the people in the world will work to create knowledge. And to create knowledge, we need to find the uniqueness of everyone. And everyone can bring the ideas. And that's the idea of how to make the school as a network, was that it's we need to go back to the box and take the people outside of the box and find their uniqueness and their strong area, or that this strong area give them energy. So, for example, Ken Robinson called this area the element, when you find where your talent and your motivation go together. So what we are doing in our democratic schools, we are not working in the box of knowledge. We are not talking with the idea, we are not teaching with the idea of textbook, or I think it's coming from the idea of encyclopedia, that all the knowledge can put in the same place. And we say, okay, today with the internet, all the knowledge in the world is open to everyone, and everyone needs to find something that is very good, is very successful. And in this case, school becomes open to everyone. The boxes disappear. So we are learning everyone. In this case, you can learn everything that you want, but in this case, very important happened. We cannot find a teacher to everything. So we are saying we're moving from a school-based teaching-based school, to a learning-based school. Learning-based school is a place that everyone is a teacher and everyone is a student. And I'm teaching something that is my specialties, and I learn from other one. So everyone become a teacher, everyone become a student. In this case, we break the wall of the classroom, and we say the city become a big classroom, a big school, that everyone can teach everyone in the city. To do this, we build something that we call EduCoin. It's a money of education that it's a current money, it's a local money that everyone can, if I study from you, I pay you the EduCoin. And with the EduCoin, you can learn from other people in the city. And this is how biggest experience today. But when we walk the city, we talk about three circles. One is how we make the art of collaboration, the big network inside the classroom, inside the school, and between the schools. And Omer, that beside me, will give you some examples of what we are doing and how we do it.
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Yaakov. It's funny because Yaakov mentioned breaking the wall of school, and it makes me think of another brick in the wall. And I think that many of us teachers and educators have the experience of disagreeing or suffering or even leaving schools as students. And this is our way of making education better. So just like Yaakov explained, shifting and changing and breaking the paradigm from a pyramid paradigm to a network paradigm, shifting from education 1.0 to 2.0. And as you can see, each individual has his or her own unique color. It's pretty obvious that in nowadays schools, which are pretty similar, unfortunately, to 100 years ago schools, you have the excellent students who excel in math or in sciences, and if you're good at sports, you have no way of expressing your uniqueness and your excellence, and we want to break that paradigm. And the idea here in Classroom 2.0 is that all the students are also teachers, and we all have our fields of strengths and things we're good at, and we also can teach others. And I know for sure that some students of mine think differently than the way I think. They think differently than their peers, and we can harness that and we can teach each other. And the classroom has a common goal. So the idea is to break the pyramid and to shift into a group and a team paradigm, just like a soccer team. We have a common goal, we have a target, and that's not our individual grades, but maybe a mean, an average for all of us to improve. Let's just say, for example, that if in the previous exam, our average as a class was 70 or 75, now our goal is to reach an 80 or an 85 average. And therefore, consequently, the students want to help each other, and you support them by doing so. And that's, in a nutshell, very briefly, the whole idea of shifting from an individualistic approach of teaching to a learning approach where we can teach each other and we have a common goal. Another notion is in a 2.0 classroom is that when I teach as a teacher, I don't necessarily aim for everyone to understand. We have cards. Those who understands express the fact that they understand, and then they can teach their peers. And so it's not a teacher-centered classroom, but a student-centered classroom. So again, it's only in a nutshell, but that's one idea. The second one is MOOC. I don't know if you all know MOOCs. MOOCs are massive open online courses. The understanding that the world is shifting from the real world to a virtual world, and we can harness that virtual world to learning. So these online courses enable us to learn pretty much everything we want. And nowadays we have thousands of excellent MOOCs, excellent open online courses. But the idea is that learning on your own is not good enough. That's still not enough. You have the information, but you can't do enough with it when you're alone. And research has it that only 4% of the students starting MOOCs finish them. However, when you do it as a group, it's 30% of students finishing. But when you do it as a team, as I explained, when each student contributes from his or her expertise, it's already 88% of students finishing the courses. And what does it mean that every student has a role? If I'm good in English, maybe I can be the translator of the MOOCs because I'm good in English. If I'm good at I'm a good socializer, maybe I can be in charge of the team spirit. And that's only, again, in a nutshell, but the idea is that we all have a place and we all have a role in our team. And it's not only about the final grade, but it's also about our team experience and the process we undergo while learning. So it's not only about the end goal, but it's also about the experience, which has a lot to do with the world we live in. And that's pretty much it, again, in a nutshell. Hope that was enough for now, and we're eager to learn and hear from the rest of you.
I want to say another short thing, that I think if you, what we are doing now is the MOOC, it's really a revolution. Because we can go to different social teams work in Israel. We can go to the Bedouin in the desert, and they can choose different courses from all over the world and succeed to do it. And that's unbelievable.
I think that it breaks not only the wall of the class inside the class, but it breaks the wall of and the paradigm of school itself. And we're certain that's where education is going sooner or later. And we believe that's the way to enable people from all over the world to meet and learn together. So that's it for now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Yaakov and Omer. That was really, really good. Thank you. A couple of thoughts that I'm sure you've got thoughts and questions, but perhaps we'll keep that to the end. Yeah. I'd like to invite the 5 areas of development. Would you like to present it now, Neelam?
I was talking about the 5 areas of development, which was introduced in our school in 16. And 17, the implementation began. So the 5 areas, as I told you, were social, physical, emotional, spiritual, and cerebral. Now, cerebral was always there, but now this also has changed over a period of time, because we are not into any watertight compartments of our domain areas of social science, like that, or English or Sanskrit. Here it is, we have broken down those watertight compartments, and the children have assessed on, the integrated assessment is done, where 6, 7, 8 children would be taking a test, an assessment, where questions can be asked from anywhere, like Serena Williams' tantrum on the sports field comes into picture, and how would you deal with? So the emotional aspect is also dealt with in a question like that. The physical aspect is dealt with in a question like that. And this also takes care of the 6 C's. So if the citizenship might come in, the character comes in. So this is how it is. If you look at the cerebral aspect, then the children choose the topic which they find interesting and a project on that, which is then presented. So this is how, if we take care of, this is the physical, the cerebral part of it, and many more other things. If I talk about the social development, then we'll have Sharmila, who will tell us how it is implemented in our school.
Hi, I'm Sharmila. Just wanted to start, our school, right from the beginning, the school started out in 1989. And from the very beginning, we were a little different from the so-called, the Indian education system, because I think our director had this vision that the idea was to create a good human being. It was not a good student, it was not the marks, it was just the good human being. And as a result, in 1990, when we actually created our vision statement, the emphasis of creating a child with healthy body, mind, and spirit was something that was our vision as early as 1990, when the school was actually founded. And since then, if you even look at our report cards or the assessment that we would do of each child, through the year would be an assessment of not only their achievements, academic achievements, but also achievements in terms of their physical strengths, their fitness, their emotional capability, and their social, the ability to make friends, the ability to work within a larger group. And in 2015, we kind of I would say, crystallized it in the form of what we call Raise the Bar, where every child would identify certain pointers and on which they would actually want to achieve. And through the year, so we have a tutorial system in our school, which is like a mentorship. And the mentor, the class teacher, and the child, and even the parents were all brought together to create these targets, if I can call them targets. And we would all help the child achieve those. And I think, as Neelam said, that in 2017, it kind of became a little more sort of crystallized, a little more clear in terms of the 5 areas of development. And even that, it wasn't like handed out to us. We brainstormed. We had, through 2016, the entire staff sort of had multiple meetings. We brainstormed, we talked to the children, and then we identified these 5 areas of development, and also identified what is the right map, how should we get there, which we we were able to then get onto the idea of creating a roadmap where every child in the beginning of the academic year or the academic term creates a roadmap with the help of the parents, the mentor, and the class teacher. And we all work towards, and this roadmap is visited and revisited multiple times through the years, so that we know that we are on the right track, or if have we diverted, right? And then at the end of the year, we kind of do a self-assessment. And I think a large part of this, the assessment is your own assessment of yourself. Was I able to achieve the goals I set for myself? Sorry, I can't hear you.
I was sorry. No, thank you. Is there any more that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, we would like to continue with the areas of development where, how spiritual is very difficult to implement and access or assess the child on. Then we also spoke about the social development, where a lot of shuffling takes place in the class, in the sense we have these groups which keep changing, so the teacher, except the class teacher, their domain teachers are not static for the whole year. So the teachers are also changing, the peer groups are changing, and this is very important for their social interactions, to know each other and to understand different viewpoints that are being exchanged in the class. So, and for emotional, we have this very strong tutor-tutee system, where there's a tutor, which is a tutor is assigned to a group of children, say about 8 to 10 children from different age groups. And this is a system which is very strong in our school, because about 8 to 10 children get this tutor, where all aspects of the child's health or mental health or physical health or social health is all discussed with the tutor. And any small celebration is celebrated in a big way in this tutorial group. So for a child, that the kind of positive feedback he must have got from the teacher, or something that has happened at home, he comes forward and shares with his group, and that is something that is being celebrated, which empowers the child and gives them a safe, secure place to share whatever the child wishes to. So this is very important, because in Vasant Valley, we believe that teachers are nurturers, they are catalysts and celebrators of these little or big achievements that the children do. Because in a larger group, that might get lost, but in a small group, it is celebrated. So then we have these programs where we reach out to the children from the socially disadvantaged section, and the school is open for those children after school hours. And
during school.
And
we have about 20% of our children who come from what we call the EWS, or the children who come from economically backward groups in our neighborhood. And so a lot of these children are with us, and the idea of integrating the children in our the school system through programs. We have a very strong outreach program where the children go out into the community, they work with the community, and they take ownership of a lot of very interesting and a very, very powerful projects that they've taken forward. Like we've had a child who went to the neighborhood community and realized that the children don't have a toilet, and so she took it upon herself because she was able to get in touch with the Chief Minister of Delhi and actually got toilets made. So there are so those kind of things are things that we encourage, and we hope that our children will be able to take forward and do for us. I think the larger understanding was that the world has changed. Knowledge, as he said, is just a click of a button. So we don't really need to be so emphasize on knowledge, but as long as we know how to do the 6 C's, we are, and we'll be ready for the next decade. To put our children will be ready for that new decade. So that's where we came from.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm just going to adjust the light. It looks like a thunderstorm here. So, and I've gone like a shadow. So just let me. Oh my God, it's even worse. Okay, much better.
Much better.
Thank you so much. As a teacher, as an educator, and as a mother of 2 girls, I just sit here and I wish that I could have sent my girls to your schools.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
I do. My girls are now 20, and my elder one is almost 22. And just from a personal experience, I've got 2 daughters and 2 completely different. Rebecca absolutely struggled in school, and not for want of intelligence or cleverness, but simply because she did not fit into the box. And I was a teacher, and I struggled between being a teacher and having to conform to what the ministry asked me to do. And yet I had all these maternal things that and it was horrible. And so just to cut a long story short, Rebecca absolutely struggled in school, and she began to be labeled as lazy, stupid. And it just, if I think back to her when she was 17, she was possibly the most depressed and a child with 0 confidence. And I remember telling her just before her national exams, I said, just do the bare minimum so that you can come out of school with your head held high. I said, I'm not into the A's, just finish it. So she came out, I'll tell you, she came out. She struggled for 2 years trying to find herself. But she always knew she wanted to do political science. Don't ask me why. Oh, what? But anyway, to cut a long story short, we were very lucky. She didn't do well in her foundation, but a friend of mine managed to recommend a university in Chicago where my sister is. Rebecca has been studying political science at Roosevelt University. It's not a major prestigious university. I will tell you that for the first time in the 12 years that Rebecca's gone to school, 4 weeks ago, my daughter made it to the dean's list.
Wow. Wonderful.
Straight A's. And she said to me on the phone, Mama, it is so good to be clever.
So lovely.
Yeah, and I think it's just because she managed to find a place where she was comfortable, where people allowed her to explore her passion and her interest. And this is something that I really resonate with as a mother and as an educator. So I'm really now so thankful that I made that rash decision to host the session. I reached out to Pukraj and I said, oh, maybe I'll do it. But I just come back from Amsterdam and I'm still kind of jet lagged. But honestly, I am so humbled, and it's incredible. So Frederica, I don't know, we don't have many people on the session, but we've got 3 questions. Should we just ask those questions and then see what their responses are like?
Yeah, I think it would be best to do as a group discussion because there's not enough to do breakout rooms. So
absolutely, yeah. So I did a bit of reading, a little bit of studying last night over the different innovations that you people have put together. And I've got a couple of questions. I'm going to try and share them again, my document, and see whether, okay. Yeah. Can you see the document?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So if you look at the first one, trying to find my document now and I can't see it.
Because we were having a hard time to read it.
I know, I'm trying to read it myself. Frederica, do you remember it? I can't see it for nuts.
Yep, I'll just go grab it from my emails. One sec.
Yeah. Why do I? That's really odd. Yeah, I can't seem to read it. But I've got I've got an observation from what you guys just shared, and I think that both education cities and 5 areas of development, to me, the similar point of focus was the focus on the learner. Really, that the focus was very much on the learner finding themselves and building the best versions of themselves, right? That's kind of the common thread that I saw between both. Do you have it, Frederica, by any chance?
I'm just going to share my screen in a second. I'm nearly there.
I need to stop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Should work now. There we go.
While we're waiting, does anyone have questions for the other side?
Well,
having the other innovation.
What you said, Liz, about your daughter is, I feel so, I relate to it so much, very similar to the story I had. I had no difficulties as a student, academically wise, but the conclusion that we're just not interested in whatever is taught in schools, and the fact that teachers don't do too much, how do you feel or what do you think?
Yeah.
And again, we have so many, I taught in a democratic school in Israel, and I know so many students who graduated and excelled in the academy and in university, and they weren't they didn't shine during their school time, and it makes you wonder, what is it that we're doing wrong? If these people are bright and smart, but they can't find a way to express themselves in schools, in their school years. So that's something for us educators to try and crack. And the 6 C's discuss exactly these issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's just start with education cities. So this is kind of what I thought about last night. You know, there's this quintessential proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so do you believe that this innovation builds on this premise? And if yes, if we say that, as in your innovation, that education rests within the whole concentric circle of the city, I suppose my question is, where does accountability for the success of the learner rest on? If there's so many moving pieces, you know what I'm trying to say? If there's so many moving pieces that help this child to learn, I guess where's the accountability is my question. It's something for us to discuss.
So I will begin with the first part. Yeah, the idea that we need to take a whole village to raise a child, and the idea is it's very similar to what we hear from the school in Delhi. What we are doing inside in the school in the cities. It's different what we are doing in democratic school. The democratic school is like a laboratory schools that we build a lot of tools and we use it in the cities. So in the cities, every child built his learning plan. Every first hour of the day in the classroom, they have a circles in a team, and everyone have a different learning plan, a goal, and everyone have a different goal and build a learning plan around this goal. The mentors to the goal on the facilities, we use all the city. So it can be that the mentor, the child want to be a singer or want to be a climber or want to be surfing in the sea. So we use all the facilities that exist. And that's something because we do it now for more than 30 years, we have a lot of the best people in Israel that go up in our schools, and they become, for example, the #1 singer in Israel today. She was a student in our school. She's not good academic, but she wonderful in singing. Or other people become a very good sportsman. And from our point of view, you need to touch your abilities. You need to touch your uniqueness. We believe that we don't come by luck to the world. I believe it. Everyone brings with him something, and we are the different things that everyone brings. The uniqueness of everyone is different, and the goal of the school is to find the uniqueness. It's not to make us the same. Like I think is the academic try to make us the same idea, the same school. So another very important thing, I forgot to tell you in the beginning, we are learning in mixed ages totally. So it's not ages, because if it's what is interesting you, is not by age, it's by your interesting. So that's the first of the question. And the second one, about the responsibility, I think we try to show the learner that they are responsible. But I think the responsible to the understand of the child or the learner that they are responsible, this is the responsible of the teacher. So it's two ways of responsibility. One is, I think a great, very important is that the responsible of learning of the learner, but another very big responsible is responsible of the teacher, that the student really understand that he is responsible about his learning. So it's two way of touching the responsibility.
I think that the whole idea is that school is not preparation for the future, it's life itself. And on the one hand, our goal in democratic schools, that's pretty much what we do. The accountability for learning is the student's responsibility. But sometimes it takes time. Students are not ready to take ownership of their own learning process. So the teachers obviously have a big role in it. And when we work in regular schools, it really depends. We tell the teachers and the principals, you are the experts. Obviously, the end goal is for the teachers to be autonomous, to ownership on their own learning process, but you know your students best. And sometimes they're just not there yet. You need an exam. And we don't think that at the end of it, students should have an exam to prove that they're learning. But sometimes in certain schools, in certain classes, the teachers believe that they still need these tools in order to make sure students are learning. So we give the teachers a lot of power to know what's best for their students.
I will give example about the responsibility. I have 4 boys. and the young one, they last year, they now the last year in school, so they are 17. And the last year that they are in democratic school, they was now 14 years in democratic school. And now we finished the summer vacation. And all the summer vacation, they are twins. So one of them is responsible in the school about learning of cinema, and the other one is responsibility is the chairman of the team that run the trips of the school. So all the summer vacation, all the summer vacation, they work to prepare the next year. The student that is responsible about the learning of cinema, he build the curriculum to all the groups that learn cinema in the school. The teacher work with him to prepare it. So the adult teacher work with him, but he's like, it's so important to him what other students will learn about the cinema, and they make movies and things like this. And the other one prepare all the trips. It's a lot of trips. It's from 4-year-old until 18. It's more than 600 students. He is the chairman of the committee. In the committee, it exists teachers, but they are doing what the chairman is in top of them. And that's something very, 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 very interesting. Where is the responsibility? And if you run in the school, think that is in your passion. And that's very important, I think, in our schools.
Liz, you talked about your experience as a teacher, that you have to do certain things as a part of the curriculum and etc.
Yep.
We as teachers,
But I was also a rebel. I was a rebel.
I'm working under the assumption we all are. But the thing is that so many of us don't even have the ability to stop and ask, what do I want to teach? What do I believe we should teach? And further, how many times do we ask the students, what do you think we learn? And power is amazing. All of a sudden, they have the ability to decide, and it's a difficult question as a teacher and for sure as a student. But once we ask and we enable ourselves and our students to ask these questions, the results are amazing because they take ownership and we take ownership, and we don't feel passive towards what we do.
Absolutely. And I think something else that occurred to me, as you were talking, was that while some of us are brave enough to pursue the democratization of education, I think what I see is that society lags behind. So there seems to be a disconnect between the larger society and their expectations of what a learner's learning journey has to be. And I'll give you an example. My younger daughter was more attuned to school. She didn't think that it was the amazing thing, but she did things that she had to do. So she kind of sailed through school with a string of A's, and and she started to do neuroscience, which is not something that's very popular here. Applied for a scholarship from a company. And this lady said to her, she said, neuroscience has got no relevance to the business of our business disciplines. And she said, you should try and do something else. So Rachel came back and she said, Mama, how could she have said that when I'm so passionate about this? And I said, well, it's okay. But so I tried to console her and I said, it's okay, we'll look elsewhere. But what really slapped us in the face was when we found out that this business company was ready to give scholarships to people who had degrees in disciplines that had nothing to do with their business, but were from so so-called prestigious colleges like Oxford. You know, and then so what do I tell my 20-year-old daughter? She turns around at me and she says, what the hell? What game are they playing with us? And so I think, you know, people like you, people like me, you know, we want to push this agenda of innovation and democratization. But at the same time, what do we do about society at large? You know, our kids come out feeling very confident, feeling very nurtured, feeling very passionate. And then they go out into a world that wants to put them back into a box again. And I guess it's, you know, what is your response to something like that? How do we deal with this?
That's a super interesting question that has to do even with the larger scale of politics nowadays, and what we see that is, again, alternative truth there, or fact or whatever. And I think that the world is going there, and we see that already. We have the big corporations, we have Google, and the world is, that they already understand that the world is shifting from a pyramid paradigm to a network paradigm. We actually discussed that a lot, and a part of what we do, we are no longer only in democratic schools, but in the larger population in Israel and soon to be in the entire world. Do you want to add to the changing paradigm?
It's something that, yes, what you say, it's very strong part of the culture of the past. If we are beginning to talk about the future, and I will give you a very good experience. 2 years ago, we met here in Jerusalem a meeting of all the Minister of Education of the CEO of the
European Union?
No.
EU.
No.
Is it European Union?
No.
OECD.
OECD.
Okay, OECD.
And it was very exciting because it was 30 Minister of Education, and we sit 3 days, and we ask ourselves, how we educate people to the future. And it was clear that what we are doing today in all the countries, we prepare people to the past. It's clear that what we are doing today, we prepare people to the past, especially what we're doing in most of the higher education. Because in Israel, for example, the biggest economy, it's called the startup companies. It's a very innovation companies that make most of the money of our country. And all or most of this company you don't need academic degrees. You need to be the best in your area. But to be best in your area, it's not mean that you have degrees. So less people interesting about degrees. It's interesting in 2 things, and I think it's very connected to the 6 C's. It's connect. One thing is about knowledge. If I need that you know what we are dealing today. And this knowledge is not learning at school, and most of the young people learn this by themselves in YouTube, in MOOCs, in a different way of learning. They build another platform of learning near the school. And the second thing is collaboration, how you make relationship, how you can in a team, how your creativity, how you can think different outside of the box. That's a lot of abilities that connect to the 6 C's that it's very important today. So, and I agree that it's not easy because most of the parents and most of the people that want that the world will continue to work as it was. They want the education will continue as it was. But what we see here in Israel, for example, but I see it's all over the world, that more and more of young couples doesn't want to send their kids to the industrial age schooling. And they're looking for a new kind of schooling. And I think what we hear now in the museum school in Delhi, and what you hear here, and what we see in all of the schools of HundrEDs, we see a revolution of education that happened in these days.
Can I just step in here?
Yeah.
And,
yes, Sharmila, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Taking you back to that how the village is what everyone, and I actually agree with that, because I believe all of us are responsible in the teaching. As parents, as educators, as community, we are all responsible in the education. But the responsibility of learning is the child's and is the individual's, because learning doesn't end in school. Learning is a lifelong activity, and unless I take it upon myself to be a responsible learner and I'm responsible for my own learning, then I will always be making excuses for not having learned. So, which is not, I don't think is the ideal thing. If we are able to transfer this responsibility to our children, of telling them that, this is what, as he said, in the open school or in the democratic school, that there are no limits to your learning. You do what you want to learn, but the need to learn, the desire to learn should be yours. And I think if we are able to translate this, a lot of our problems are looked into. And Liz, I would like to tell your daughter that the best CEOs are not from Oxford. The best people are not from the best universities or the colleges. As long as you are good, that's it. As long as you are able to push yourself forward and be the best in what, like he said, be the best in what you want to do. I don't think anyone gets a job because maybe the first job because they graduated from Oxford, but after that it's everything what you did and what you're all about. So I think that is what we need to communicate to our children all the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sharmila. I just have one question for Education Cities. And I know the question there is worded a little bit different, but we expected more people. What would you say? I mean, I'm talking about the context of Malaysia. So we've got the national philosophy, which is pretty much the national education philosophy, which focuses on physical, emotional, spiritual, and the intellect, right? So very wholesome, very holistic, very noble, right? But when it comes down to the implementation of that, in terms of curriculum, subjects, assessment, and all that, it's very prescriptive. It's very exam-orientated. The standards, the outcomes, the goals are all prescribed by the ministry. And I'm just trying to compare that to what both your entities do, which is getting the learners to identify and map their goals into a roadmap, to constantly revisit that roadmap, ultimately to focus on their strengths, to hone their strengths, I'm sure, but to also address whatever gaps they have. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, in a country like ours, for instance, where the national education philosophy is quite clear and very almost similar to yours, if I decided to go down the road of trying to get people to think differently and to start looking at things from the viewpoint of the learner, what challenges do you think you're going to face? And I guess what are some of the learnings that you've taken out of your journey that would help someone like me to be able to start this conversation with people here? what learnings do you have to share with us, I suppose?
Is that for me? Okay.
I will say that it's something that a lot of people ask me inside Israel and also in the world, what we need to do. And I think the answer that I have is, it's quite simple. In the beginning, you need to find another one that think like you, and you begin to need to talk with together. And later, two of you can find another one and do it, making the group better. And that's the way. It's going very step by step and build a team. That's also, I found a little difficult in some culture. I don't know the different culture of Malaysia, but in some culture, connection with another one is difficult. And I think this is the challenge. And then in the same things is to build one kind of school. Because I will give you my experience in Israel. When I built the first democratic school, it was very difficult. Because the Ministry of Education said it's impossible, it's not working, they cannot give me permission, and I want to be a state school, so it's not a private school. So I need to fight a big fight until we get this permission, and then after 3 years, they choose us as the School of the Year of Israel. So I need to build something that it's successful in one. To build it, I need a group, a team that we work together. And today, more than 30 years after we begin to build this school, we don't have a city in Israel without democratic school. And every city wants more and more democratic school, so they come to us. So the idea is to make something viralic, something like the new idea of what happened in YouTube. Build your first good movie, build your first school, and then people will come. So that's what I believe. If I remember, no, I think no. We were at a conference in Tokyo last year, and people come from Indonesia that they build a democratic school, and they show how it's different, the culture in Indonesia to build a democratic school. But they build it when they become a team and work together, and then they build one school. And when it's become one school, it's become another school. And I think at all, the question is who lead the revolution of education? And I don't find a lot of ministers of education that lead the revolution. I think revolution built from people that lead this change, these revolutions, and these people can be students, like the student in Brazil in São Paulo that they make occupied schools. It can be teachers, it can be principals, it can be people that decide that they want to lead. And that's the secret. It's not someone will tell you, someone above you. Jump. And when you jump, it's not safe. You go to something that unsafety totally.
I want to add to that that's the democratic schools, and in the regular schools, it's obviously a bit more challenging and a bit more difficult. But the 2.0 classroom and the How to MOOC program that we have that also involves the team spirit show, and we have the data to show that it actually promotes learning. again, that for us, the way we see it, the end goal is not the grades. It's the process, it's the individuals, it's learning together, it's finding your strengths. But we know and we realize that on a larger scale, the Ministry of Education and teachers and principals are also interested in grades, unfortunately. And we realize that, ladies and everyone, and I think that these programs in the long run show that it also improves the students' grades and students' abilities, and above all, the way they perceive themselves and how they see themselves and their capabilities. So we work in two parallel lines as starting new and amazing schools, the democratic schools, but also working in the regular schools and enabling to make a difference and make a change.
Okay, just wondering, Sharmila and Neelam, any thoughts on this, learnings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, unfortunately, actually are us, because we, have been trained in the conventional, old-fashioned system, and the teachers find it difficult to break the, it's so comfortable to do it the old way because we've done it over so many years, and the new is the one that is difficult to encroach on and start and work on. The children are open to everything. They are, you give them whatever, and they are, in the new are the better for them. But I think the challenge is for us to change first. And if we are able to bring in the change in our ways of teaching, in our classroom, in our interactions, in what we do and how we do it, is when it's going to really bring about a change in the system. Because you may have the best systems on paper, but unless it's implemented in the classroom, there is no way it's going to work.
And when we talk about the context of education, context of a country, now when we talk about the 5 areas of development, it's not, in fact, empowering the child to identify the goal, the indicators of success, the skills that they have, and what process they're going to use. So even then, if they go outside and they don't find the situation the way it is in a school, the kind of comfort, the secure environment, the safe environment, they have been equipped to a certain extent, the skills to deal with it in the way that is good for them. And that is the strength of the area of development. And at present, the scene in the government, if you look at the scene in the area of education also, is going through a change. Because earlier, if you look at it, it was basically cerebral. But in the kind of school that we are in, here even we never had extracurricular activities. It was always non-academic. And the weightage of the marks was given for both academics as well as non-academic subjects. So a lot of importance was to aesthetics, music, our sports areas. So there's a lot of importance given to that. And therefore, to say that it's totally different from what is expected outside in the world, it's not so. In fact, now I think our children are better equipped to deal with it, except if you look at college admissions, which is very marks oriented, then it might be one of the challenges that you're posing. But the new colleges, the new universities, which are the progressive ones, have given space for such kind of evaluation and assessment, where children who are well equipped in all these 5 areas are far more appreciated and valued as compared to only one area of academics.
And I think in the classrooms, as Neelam said, we are always saying that how you could be a great physicist, but if you're not a good human being, it doesn't matter to us. We don't want you. You won't be appreciated only for your marks. You'll be appreciated for what you are and who you are. And I think that somehow does get communicated to our children. So they at the end of, because I've like you, I have 2 children who have been through our school, 13 years of education, and they weren't brilliant, they weren't bright, but I think they found themselves in a school like this. So, whatever you do, one turned out to be a good soccer player, the other turned out to be very passionate about the environment and has taken their niche, likes forward. So I think if we can manage to do that, we've done our job.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Frederica, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, as part of our interviews with innovators, we always ask what their greatest challenge is. And I would say 90 to 100% of the time in every interview, it's mindset. And I think what makes a lot of these innovations so fantastic is that their impact is so great that they say the biggest achievement they've had is changing mindset around what they were challenging. And I think that's so interesting, and it's interesting to hear your perspectives on battling different people's mindsets in different areas of the community and how best we go about that. And I agree that I think teacher training, I'm a trained teacher as well, and I think the way you are taught and the way you're graded and the way that you do well is so regimented, and that's how you learn and it's how you are successful. And I think we need to really break those barriers down and shake things up a bit in the way that we train our teachers, and that's how, along with students like you say who are open to change, that's how more people will become open to change.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm also reminded about this, when this whole big trend of 21st century learning started in Malaysia a couple of years ago, and I was very much involved in it, and people in the ministry were getting restless because the teaching methodology, the 21st century teaching methodology was not being reflected in the classrooms. And I remember at one conversation I said, it's very difficult to expect teachers to provide a 21st century learning experience when we don't give teachers that 21st learning experience themselves. How do you expect someone to practice it when they've not even become a recipient of it? You continue to assess teachers in the same old way, but you expect teachers to assess differently. And I think this is that, chicken or egg thing that we keep talking about. But in closing, I just want to say I have had the most incredible hour and more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Just listening to you guys, incredible. I wish you all the best. I hope one day my journeys will take me to your schools. I'd be able to come and visit your schools. Yeah. But thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, then.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you for joining me today. Bye.
Bye-bye.